All right, here we're back. Welcome to Making a Mark with Atara Estes. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about community health workers. Community health workers is our topic for today on every Tuesday. What we go off of is letting you know what's happening in our everyday lives as a community health worker. I'm a community health worker, and that focus point of profession is in the public health sector. I want you all to know that I really appreciate you listening, downloading, sharing, following, and purchasing any merchandise that is on my website for purchase and supporting my business. On yesterday's show, just to pull back for a moment from today's topic, was about I'm a businessman, and it's all in the support of small businesses. And it's not just about my business, but all of the business entrepreneurs that are around the world that would like the spotlight to share their businesses. But it's about supporting one another. It really is about brotherhood, sisterhood, and all that wonderful healthiness, bringing positivity back in a full circle. So on today's show, as we're moving forward, I'm going to chime in on some business with community health workers. And on last week, topic was on a short segment. Last week was my intro shows, and today I'm just going to dive in a little bit deeper for today's episodes of community health workers, which are frontline public health workers who have a close understanding of the community they serve. In these communities, the community health workers play an integral role in helping systems become more culturally appropriate and relevant to the people the system serve. And what we find to be true in the work that I do as a community health worker, I work in reentry, and the reentry work that I do is to help the underinvested community, I will call it. It's not just the uninsured or the underinsured, it's the underinvested community. And that community happens to be the population in our local jails. And a lot of people have a different form of opinion when it comes to those who are incarcerated. But I come to find out that sometimes knowledge is power. That's what I would definitely say. Everyone who is in jail is not in there for the things that they may have committed. Some things are being abused with power. And some of them are just unfortunate circumstances of survival. And it's not to justify if they are found to be guilty. Facts, the actual facts brought forth in that person's bringing to the court, that they could be charged and found guilty and serving time for that just due crime. But we do have a conflict of interest when it comes to the law and how justified is that punishment for the crime. Is it that person do you have the correct person in custody to that crime, or are we perpetuating to make it even harder on the community? Instead of giving jail time, why don't you provide resources to them? So in my work as a community health worker is the longevity trailblazing that I would like to bring forth about the reform, criminal justice reform. It's a long road, but it's being done because it's necessary. When I got into this work, I was a victim's advocate for years before finding out that they had an actual title called community health workers. And in that work, I was helping victims of domestic violence. Now, to talk about victims of domestic violence is one that people really can relate to, but we come to find out that even the victims do not get a fair trial. to what is being brought forth. In my eyes, in my experience, going to the courts, trying to support and advocate the victims, they leave out of the courtroom a lot more worse than what they would have done trying to protect their own selves. And that is something that I found to be a big gap in our justice system, to where they left our victims, our survivors, in more harm. And that is something that I found that I was tossing and turning with when it comes to the restraining orders, when it comes to safety of the children, when it comes to safety of yourself, family, friends, anyone who knows you, that personal space. And we're talking about victims of domestic violence in particular. And anyone who has been in a violent situation, not just domestic, but someone who is attacking you and terrorizing you in any type of shape, form, or manner, that brings on trauma. So as a community health worker, what I've gained to be in this role that I'm in has been such a turnaround to find out a way of redirecting the defendant and redirecting their behavior, the learned behavior, breaking those things as a coach, a mentor, navigating the systems to be able to interpret what is really going on versus what is really happening. Because what we find out in our systems, we find the system to give us a how they say in the clothing line, one size fit all. And that is not the case when we're talking about human beings on a case-to-case basis. The laws are put in place, policies are put in place, but it isn't a one size fit all because everyone's case is different. And you cannot put that pill, that policy for a one size fit all when you're having certain cases that need a little bit more flexibility. And this is no way, shape, or form is to allow anyone to run and abuse the law. And I want to keep reiterating that I am not excusing bad behavior. No way. What I am trying to get us to look at when we have a defendant in our case, in the cases that I hold, I found for those defendants not to get a fair trial. They are pressured to make a irrational decision because they're sitting and waiting for someone to come and hear what is going on with their case, only to come to find out the longer you sit, the sooner you'll crack. And no one wants to sit in jail when they're waiting on someone to hear their testimony to what actually has happened, to where they are put into a environment that is more toxic than ever, when you've never been in jail, when you've never been arrested. And I'm just speaking on those never have been. And we can say that some things have some repeated pattern to where they may have been in jail off and on. But if these are non-violent crimes, let me be clear, the non-violent crimes, why are they sitting in jail getting the max of punishment instead of getting resources to redirect the behavior? So as a community health worker of the work that I do, it is very strategic in the manner of speaking. So my work is just getting started in the criminal justice sector. I plan to continue this role as long as God allows me to be in this role as a community health worker. But there are other community health workers who work in the hospitals, that work in the community health centers, that work in our some in our educational sectors. A lot of them work in our shelters, grassroots organizations, and we're trying to expand it to where as community health workers are looked upon all professional aspects, that even in the airport we can have them being helpful as runners and different things. Anything that has a community engagement, I would define you in some of those core competencies as a community health worker. Now, I am state course certified with a certificate because I've gone through the necessary trainings to get my certificate. And now I'm going to the next level to be credentialed. And this is a statewide credential that will allow me to be certified through the state as a community health worker. So I look forward to the wonderful transitions, adding another letter to my name, opening up the doors for more possibilities to go to that next level in my career. And I just believe that community health workers are rebirth because they've been out for so long, but this is almost a revision of the community, or as I would say, a 2.0, that we're coming to the second coming of our status again. And what I want to share with you is the coalition that goes on in our St. Louis region. St. Louis City has its own disparities that happens, and we in the St. Louis regions understand that the Mike Brown situation has been impacting our community since he was murdered. And that is something that I refuse to debate about in the death of Mike Brown, because he did die by the hands of an officer. And that was an outcry. It changed the entire community. And no one has actually been the same since the death of the murder of actual Mike Brown. So what I would say is not just a death, but it is an actual murder. And we have to know how to communicate, once again, healing through the abuse of power. This is no dig at any police officers, but this is a dig on officers who abuse their power because they are in a position to actually serve and protect. And then we begin to have justifiable excuses that allow, when something happens, to say, I feared for my life. And once upon a time, when, as I was growing up, we had this DARE program. I don't know if they still have the DARE program going on in the local schools or not, because I grew up in the city of Chicago. But we had the DARE program, which allowed us to see police officers participating and engaging in the community with the youth. And when you saw them in that uniform, you respected them. You actually took in a newfound friend with the police officers, and they were raising awareness to the things that were happening in the community that they were serving. So I'm asking to challenge anyone who's an officer who has on the uniform to engage, if you have not done so, to re-engage with the community that you're serving. Show yourself available and approachable to the community. It's not a one-size-fits-all. I'm not saying that. It all depends on the relationship that you can find tangible and feasible for yourself. But to heal a community is to, one, get in on the ground and be in the face of the community, just so that they can see that you are trying to be anything but what is tarnishing on our local news and on our internet. The internet has taken a toll to whereas any news that has been published fake or abusive journalism has really traumatized a person's mental state. And what I find to be, at times when I see things repeatedly just played over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I saw it the first time, but to have it repeatedly replayed in my mind, I have to log off. And that's something that as a community health worker, I find in the work that I do, I just need to see it one time. And I can remember that pretty well. But when you go through repeated things by force of what you go to every day is your local news or social media, and only thing you keep seeing that pops up on the screen is that tragic ordeal, what do you think it's going to do to a community? It's going to make the community become angry, and it's going to make them want to take action that is not as healthy as you may have wanted them to respond. So we all have a responsibility, and for my work that I do in the community within the coalition that I was bringing up, is the St. Louis Coalition, Community Health Worker Coalition, and we are about building resilience. And this is just me personally of my work, to no longer be addicted to the pain, learning how to bounce back by moving forward. And the community health workers empowerment values in the St. Louis region is about advocacy, capacity building, inclusion, leadership, and social justice. It is amazing work that we're doing. And if you want to become a member and you have completed your St. Louis Community Health Workers course curriculum, I would actually invite you to email me to get an application so you can get an invite to a 10-hour recruitment that will be coming up in March. We have a recruitment coming up to enroll new community health workers. So if you have received your St. Louis Community College certificate, I would like to invite you to be a member of the coalition, and we will definitely be sharing more about that event. But if you are interested, please email me at ataracebookings@gmail.com. ataracebookings with an S on the end @gmail.com. This is very beneficial to know that we're trying to grow, but we want those who are passionate and being in the community, in the face of the community, to let the community know we are here for them. Strong advocacy presence for the cry of help from one servant to the other. It's about serving one another. So I don't want to actually not have that as a forefront, because that's what we do. And we also have the Community Health Workers Association of Missouri that I am the president of. And this mission is on a statewide. So the coalition for St. Louis is on our local region, and now we have a statewide chapter that has taken off last year. I was voted in by my peers last year to be the president, and I am definitely excited about this because the mission statement is it allows all of us to come together. The mission of the Community Health Workers Association of Missouri is to unite CHWs, CHW instructors, employers, payers, allies, and other interested individuals for professional development and community outreach to serve the communities in which they are involved. Our core competencies of values are to taking action through advocacy for the CHW profession, which has become increasingly important in healthcare, education opportunities for both CHWs and instructors in various areas of interest, professional development workshops to enhance professionalism in the workplace, community resources to assist CHWs in their outreach and education efforts, employment resources for employment opportunities, and networking opportunities for CHWs across Missouri to connect with each other and learn from each other's experiences. And our chapter is held in Jefferson City. So if you are interested, and our membership application is very reasonable for community health worker, it is $50. Community health worker instructor is also $50. Our allied membership is $50. Our volunteer membership is $25, and this is yearly. And we got our partner organizations, and we have 3 tiers. Our first tiers of 3 people is $150. Our second tier is up to 7 people is $300, and our third tier is 10 people, $450, and that will cover our yearly membership. And if you are looking forward to coming to classes, we are actually about to have our second annual Community Health Worker Conference. And that is scheduled March 17th and 18th at the Lodge of the Four Seasons in the Lake of the Ozarks. Now, the biggest community health worker event that I'm being able to host is needing you. Anyone who has products or services and would like to display them at our event, we are asking you to get your table before March. The deadline is by March 10th. So we're looking for exhibitors to rent, to have a booth space, and for $350 is for profit, and $250 is for nonprofit groups. And you can reserve by calling CHWAM at 573-634-2914. Once again, that reserve call that is at CHWAM at 573-634-2914. And there are also several sponsorship opportunities throughout the conference. So call the Community Health Workers Association of Missouri for more information on sponsorship. But the sponsors fees as follow is platinum sponsors is $3,000, gold sponsor is $1,500. Silver sponsors is $1,000, bronze speaker $500, and exhibit only is $250. Our hotel accommodations at the Four Seasons, the room rate is $94 for single and double. And you have until the 16th to call and make this reservations to hold that for you. So don't delay. The deadline in the registration must be received to the office by February 28th. You can mail it in or you can fax it in. All of this information in detail from what I am sharing is on my main website at ataraestes.com. Click on the Community Health Worker Association tab to be taken and to download the forms that you would need for the forms that you have to fill out. And you have to fill it out for each individual, and you have to fax it in with your credit card information. Also, if you want the discount for registration, you can get enrolled and become a member to get the discounted fees for the conference as well. So the conference is one fee. The membership is a different fee. If you want to have the discount for the conference and you don't have the membership, then that will show you in what category will that fee be. So that's all. That can be all paid by credit card by faxing it in. The number is on the form, and you will have until the 28th to be able to register individually. The registration has to be submitted, and the information gets sent to Jefferson City. So we have a great itinerary agenda, great speakers that will be attending the Lodge of Four Seasons at Lake of Ozarks on March 17th through the 18th. And our goal for the conference is to improve attendees' knowledge of community health worker activities within Missouri and how community health workers can be utilized. Attendance at the conference will also increase community health workers' knowledge about available resources. It is anticipated to have a big turnout. With this being my first, I want to say personally how blessed that I am to be in this position. I don't know what all it entails, but it is one that I am looking forward to stepping out and stepping into my own role. I'm attending a lot of different meetings. I'm heading a lot of different organizations, and I've never been here before. I can humbly say that if you ask me 18 years ago, where would I see myself? The way things were going in my life 18 years ago was very bleak. Very, very, very dark place. The dark place looked like it was an end for me because I didn't know what my purpose and plan that God had for me to be in this life. After surviving being shot and left for dead due to domestic violence and having to raise a child to look just like the father who had committed the crime towards me, it's a twist to how God can keep you when you feel like it's not anything to be kept for. And I say that to address to my listeners that I do this podcast today that I did several years ago, but I came off of it because I kind of got so off track or overwhelmed with life adversities that were being thrown my way, with dealing with losing a job due to taking care of my daughter who was battling with mental illness at that time, and knowing that there was nothing I can do but other than try to save her life. And it did not have anything to do with me or how I felt about me, because it was about saving her. And a job to let you go due to you can't attend, you on FMLA, and your child is high risk of dying. Suicidal thoughts due to medication, trying to get her balanced from her mental health, and the list goes on of the dark place from 18 years ago to 4 years ago, and seeing where I am today. I'm thankful to God to allow me to get another chance to make a mark in my life, to take on these challenges, to be on these different board seats, to be the president of a wonderful organization, to be a board of leader of surrounded by amazing people, and just to get the support that I once was thinking that I was all alone and didn't have that. So when I say that community health workers play a big part in my second coming of my life, there is nothing like getting this branding of community health workers onto that plateau to be recognized and to never die again. I would love to see community health workers throughout Missouri really on a higher plight of attendance not only just to this conference, but attending all matters of their community. Community health workers can talk about what's happening in their community, and they are the only ones who reach their community because they're there from the community. And that is what being a community health worker is all about, advocating for the gaps and the disparities that you see that your neighbor is going through, and wanting to serve them, to give them a level of peace and freedom to function, to live another day. So I'm humble for this opportunity. I receive all. I don't know what's going to happen. I look forward to tomorrow's event. Well, it's not tomorrow, but March 17th and 18th, meeting anyone and everyone who is going to be attending. I look forward and hoping that I can get the governor to show up to this event, to meet the people who are on the ground, who is actually doing the work. He talked about a workforce that he would love to see economic development. I believe that this is one to see who's actually in that playing field, who's actually moving those chess pieces to be in a place that he cannot be. To actually be the eyes on the ground to where he can't see all, but they will tell him all that is needing to be addressed. So I'm figuring out that out of all those things that happen in my rearview mirror, it's bringing me to this purpose and that I stand in right now. So I challenge you all who are interested in becoming a community health worker to join. We are actually enrolling for classes starting in March. If you're interested in finding out, if you are in the St. Louis area and you would like to take the test to become enrolled in the class, email me at ataracebookings@gmail.com. I would love to pass on that information on taking the assessment, to being screened, to pass through those stages and phases, to be a part of the orientation. You will be meeting the Community Health Workers Board of Leaders, which is myself and 8 others, well, 9. We include Sierra. She's our coordinator, and the many support that you will have from the others who have graduated from the class as well. You have a great team of people who want to see you grow in the areas that you're passionate about and solve the gaps in your community, and you want to fulfill the need of the community by your servitude. So if you're interested in the next enrollment of the class, please email me so I can send that to you at ataracebookings@gmail.com. So I think I've shared in depth what we are on our way to do. If I have missed anything, guess what? I get to share it on next Tuesday with you. So it is not too late to get in deeper about what the community health workers are doing. I do plan to shed some light on some of the national community health workers regions are statewide, and national news is going on, and not just from our state. But in the meantime, in between time, I would definitely say that we have something that is very authentic. I think it is very transformational, and I think that we're just getting started with what is taking place. I don't think that we're doing this just by what is a trend. Let me say that. This is not a trend. So this is not a fashion fair to where we're in today, we're gone tomorrow. I believe in what we're doing is going to be history in the making for what community health workers stand for and being identified as. Also, I want to let you know with the credential application, it is also on my main website. You can go on the ataraesses.com and click on the Community Health Workers Association tab. And if you have completed your St. Louis, if you have completed any of Missouri qualified classes and gained your certificate, and you have all of your hours and you are qualified to get your credentials, you are able to go on the website and click on the link that will take you to how to apply for your credentials. It is $75. You have some instructions that you must do to complete that process thoroughly, or it will not be accepted. I think it takes about 2 or 3 weeks to turn around to get that information back. So the sooner you get it in, the sooner you are able to get your credentials accepted and approved, and you will be recognized at our Community Health Workers annual conference. And many more things are going to be taking place at the conference. So if you are interested, please, 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 please let me know how you're going to participate. If you've been one of the speakers, if you just come in to become knowledgeable about the community health workers, leave your reviews on the site, on my Atara Estes website as well, or whatever other social media platform that you may find this information being shared. Follow me on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, any platform. Let me see, SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on Atara Estes. And on my podcast, you can find me on Making a Mark with Atara Estes. If you put my name in, I'm sure it will bring up on podcast what Atara is doing and what Atara plans to do to continue branding the different businesses and organizations that she is affiliated with. And we're going to spotlight all of you as well. So it has been wonderful to allow this time to be able to dive in deeper about the community health workers. Continue to listen to the previous messages that have been shared. I'm going to come back with more on next week. On tomorrow, I will be on our Motivational Wednesday push, which is about self-care, self-awareness, and with this week being about Valentine's Day, we're going to make it be about our Times Day. So we're going to be sharing about what is best practices about our self-love. So we got some work to do, and I will be able to leave some tips on how to make your Valentine's be what you need it to be for you and for those you come in contact with. We're going to spread that love, but we're going to start with us first. Is that okay? All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it be what it needs to be. And I love you all for listening. Tune in next time. I want you to be safe. I want you to love on one another. Be good to yourself and to one another. Have a blessed day.